Hey guys, welcome to our new show, Gaming Center, your hub for video game news, hot takes, and highlights. I'm Victor.
I'm Jordan.
And I'm Adam. Let's go ahead and start with gaming news. So something I thought would be fun for us to discuss is the new Unreal editor for Fortnite, which allows players to develop their own games inside the popular Battle Royale. Jordan, what was your thoughts on that?
It looks pretty awesome.
It does.
Way different than I've ever seen Fortnite look. I'm actually someone who hasn't played Fortnite a lot.
And you didn't have much interest, right?
I didn't really have much. I'm not a huge first-person shooter fan, so
Third person?
I guess that's true. That's third person. You're right. No, just those Battle Royale style games.
Yeah.
I grew up with very poor internet, so I have had little practice, and I'm terrible at them.
I can attest to that.
Yeah, I'm really bad at them. But this looks cool because like the ability to create your own levels looks fun. I really hope people get super creative with it. It makes me think a little of like how Little Big Planet used to be.
Yeah.
That it might just get goofy and fun. And I mean the custom levels in Little Big Planet were the most fun part, in my opinion.
Yeah, do you remember the one with the shark? Like,
Yes.
there was a level where you're literally just running across a lake trying to avoid a shark.
And it just
from
comes
eating you.
out and eats you.
And
I mean,
the sound effects?
we don't know completely what's possible with Fortnite
Right.
yet, but I hope it can get weird and
Yeah.
crazy like that because I think that'd be a lot of fun to just see how creative people get with it.
I can attest myself that is the sole reason I love Little Big Planet is the fact that you could go into these crazy world, play these random things. I remember one, it was a skateboard level where you just flew down a hill.
Yeah.
And my sister, my brother, and I all fighting each other on a stupid little skateboard. But that made it so much fun. I actually enjoy Fortnite. I played it quite a bit. I'm terrible at it, but I love it. I remember my buddy Jonathan Perky chasing me around he was literally up close with a sniper headshotting me because I was that bad. But I will say the game's fun, but this just made it way more appealing. Like I'm excited at the possibilities.
Yeah.
Yeah, I agree too with Jordan where the game's already kind of silly to where
Yeah.
I think it opens up the doors to where I will admit myself, I never had a lot of interest to play Fortnite, but this opened the door where like I want to play the levels people create. I'll never want to spend the time myself doing that, but being able to play.
I actually might.
Do you?
Yeah.
Creating a level sounds
All right,
fun.
cool.
That seems like something
yeah,
for you.
Yeah,
Guys,
I would love to do that.
Could you imagine like someone creating a world like Mario Brothers and then playing Fortnite in it? Like that'd just be fun. So like
That's
the
true.
possibilities
Yeah,
are crazy.
Yeah, that'd be pretty cool.
Laying down mushrooms and throwing green shells at
Yeah,
people.
yeah.
That'd be sweet.
Amazing. That'd be amazing.
That would be great.
All right, so now we're gonna dive into the just showed new footage of Street Fighter 6, where it was E Honda fighting Lily. And I wanted to get your guys' thoughts just overall on the gameplay. Did it look smooth? What do you guys think overall?
I mean, yeah, it looked great. It looked like new Street Fighter.
New Street Fighter.
I want to toss back to you because I know you play fighters way more than I do, and just as somebody who's great at fighting games and loves them, what are specifics that like you look for in a new fighting game coming out that like matter to you?
It's weird. I really like movement and like just the looks, I guess.
Okay.
But I was worried at first I don't want to use the word worried. Wasn't a huge fan of the overall design of the game at first. I thought they tried to go a little too flashy. Like when you do certain hits, it's like almost like spray paint comes out.
I
It's
gotcha.
It almost felt too much, and now I'm really starting to like it. They did so there was a lot of issues with Street Fighter V with the rollback netcode. So if you went online, it's like almost frames missing, and people are getting ticked off because stuff is
gotcha.
happening that shouldn't be.
Gotcha.
So they'd made a whole new rollback netcode. Hopefully, there's no issues. But to
Makes sense.
prepare for this.
Uh-oh.
Oh,
What have
do
you
we
done?
got? What do we got here? What do
Oh,
we
I'm
got
already
here?
ready for
Oh
Street Fighter 6.
my! What?
I wanted to let you guys firsthand thoughts on what you think of the new
my
non.
gosh.
What's this?
This
What's
is the
this?
hitbox
What's this
style.
thing? We didn't know this was coming out.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
The new
Okay.
hitbox
This
style.
looks incredible.
So as you guys already know,
Yeah.
this is
Yeah.
going to be your jump
Yeah,
button
jump.
and down.
Yeah.
We have it right in front of the mic for you, just in case.
Oh
you-
yeah, just so you can
Yeah.
get all
yeah.
those
I
button
feel that.
mashes.
That's. Woo. That's
Dude.
kind of fun.
Yeah, I know, right?
build
As we
quality
said,
on this is
as we've said, Adam plays fighters a lot more than us, so
Yeah.
this is the kind of thing he's interested in.
But you guys at
no,
least-
this is cool though
Yeah.
too. Yeah.
So this is an actual official PS5 one. I wanted the original hitbox, but this is going to work with Street
That makes
Fighter 6. But I just wanted to get your thoughts on how it feels.
Yeah, I can
Probably do
imagine.
a video reviewing this.
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
I can imagine if you got used to this would be pretty epic because there's no slipping on like half turns or anything, which I'm terrible at. But yeah, this.
Oh yeah, that's sweet.
Yeah, it's like
How do you pronounce it? Victrix? Is that what it is?
Yep, same one that made the
Hey, from Victor to Victrix. Job well done.
Yeah.
same people that
Pretty
made
sweet. That is really
the
cool.
controller that we're testing out against the Edge.
Yeah. Okay. Cool.
That's really
cool.
Yeah,
Here's
we're
your case.
excited
Yeah.
to play that.
But yeah, that's pretty awesome. I think just again, I don't play fighters near as much as Adam does, but I will say I'm more in it for the fun of it in terms of special moves and abilities, and I kind of like the over the top visual effects, but I would probably say that's probably more so because I'm not as competitive. I can imagine why that would bother people that are more competitive. But
Hey, thank you guys for always playing me too, because it's always fun. You guys still entertain it.
I'm Adam's online punching bag.
Yeah.
All right, something else that Jordan and Victor have not seen yet that I just wanted to get their actual impressions on. So, Capcom's been doing some marketing for Resident Evil 4 that I wanted you guys to see because
I know I'm excited about
Yeah.
Resident Evil 4 remake,
Yeah.
but I've tried not to watch anything because I want to go into it surprised.
here you go.
Okay.
This
So
is
Adam's
their-
about
this
to
is
ruin
part
the
of their-
surprises for me.
This is part of their marketing campaign.
What?
Street Fighter 4 anime.
No. What?
You mean Resident Evil
Resident Evil
4?
I mean, what did I just say?
Street Fighter.
Yeah.
That's good old Street Fighter still in my head, but yes.
What?
So this is episode 1 and 2. They've released 2 episodes.
You're kidding
so far.
me.
No. I thought this was fantastic.
This
I'm guessing it's supposed to be humorous.
Yes. It's supposed to look all cute and like it's great.
And it's still the crazy village. This is great. Okay.
I knew you'd love that.
Oh no, this is great.
This is hilarious.
Okay. No, I love this. That's awesome.
Yeah. So anyways,
Okay.
well done, Capcom.
Yeah, well done. That's
Capcom,
fun.
bravo.
Yeah, I had not seen that yet. Like I said, it comes out tomorrow. I guess when you're watching this, it comes out today. But yeah, I've been trying to
Yeah, that's pretty
stay
great,
away
man.
from things. But that's fun. That doesn't spoil
Adam,
anything.
correct
That's
me if I'm
just
wrong,
fun.
but I believe you've done some digging and pulled up some scores and
I have.
okay.
Yeah, so speaking of Resident Evil 4, we wanted to dive into that topic because game releases tomorrow. We're excited. But first we wanted to dive into the scores. It's getting amazing reviews.
Interesting.
Currently sitting at a 93% on Metacritic. That's really high.
Very impressive.
Very high. Wow.
With some reviews saying that it's brilliant, while it might not have the same extraordinary sense of upgrade that Resident Evil 2 did, which makes sense. It
was a newer game.
Yeah, exactly. Important to realize what it represents. Resident Evil 4 was the main driver in the third-person action revolution. That was the influence that came full circle, so obviously it makes sense. On the other side, a couple complaints I saw, which we're going to kind of dive into some of these topics. On the other side, some of the complaints were that the game now relies heavily on knife parries and stealth kills.
Huh,
Now,
interesting.
with
Fine
that
with that.
said,
I'm fine with that.
okay, I was about to say, do you think that would ruin the experience for you at all, or are you just kind of now open to it?
No, I'm fine with that. I like stealth games though.
Yeah, you're a big Metal Gear Solid fan.
And as someone who, Resident Evil 4 wasn't my first Resident Evil that I played, so it's not like I have that nostalgia attached to it. That's like, this is the best one ever,
Yeah,
and don't
yeah.
change a single thing. I'm cool with it. Yeah, honestly, I'm almost cool with any game going a little bit more Metal Gear Solid. At least first
Yeah,
few Metal
gotcha.
Gear Solids. So no, I'm cool with that. I like stealth style games.
Yeah.
Right.
I think the question I would propose is like, to diehard fans, I feel like remakes, when it comes to remakes, you don't want people to stray too far from what the game was because it's something you love, right? And
Yeah.
so I feel like who it's going to really bother is the people that, you know what I mean?
Want to be exactly the same.
Yeah, all in on that game. Because I would maybe even feel that way if they remade the original Tomb Raider, right? Because it's like, that's a game from my childhood. And I remember watching that and being like, oh my gosh, the original Tomb Raider. And then it's like, if they remade that and then altered stuff, I'd be like, hey, wait a second. Like, you know what I mean? So I feel like it more probably has to do with your expectations going into it.
And I think it depends on what's altered. Like something like that. I mean, they're not gonna take away guns completely out of the game. That just wouldn't make any sense. Just having some focus on knife parries and stuff like that, and making it more stealth. I feel like that's just almost an enhancement on the game. It'd be different if they changed the storyline.
Yeah,
If you're gonna make a new remake, I don't feel like you should change the storyline, or at least it should complement what was already done and add more. I know there are some that I've loved that they. I know, I know, but I'm just saying, like,
So-
that's not a change that that would bug me at least.
So when you say knife Perry, is that a character in the game? Is it Perry and he just has a knife? And
That's what's
follows you?
different.
Yeah,
No, so here's the thing, and I wanted to explain this to you guys on knife parries. The worry is the game was already a little bit more on the action side versus horror side. So now a guy chasing you with a chainsaw, knife block, does that get rid of the scare value a little bit?
that seemed. Not that Resident Evil's it's slightly realistic.
Yeah.
I was gonna say that's unrealistic, but
You get your kitchen knife out.
probably not the argument to make, because nothing in
I know.
Resident Evil is
Yeah.
realistic, and that's fine. I don't want it to be realistic. I think it just depends on how they do it, because
Yeah.
at least for me, I think that's, again, not saying Resident Evil 4 is a bad game. I think it's still a great game, and it did amazing things for the genre, but it's I don't think it's nearly as intense or scary as 1, 2, or 3, or even 7 and 8.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We can skip 5 and 6 completely. But no, so I actually hope they add a little more of that, like, intense horror feel, because you know, 4 was very much action based, and again, well, like I said,
Let's be
still a
real.
great game.
When you think of Resident Evil, you think of horror. Like, that's your first thought.
Yeah.
At least for me. Like,
Yeah.
is horror. It was the OG horror game, and it still holds true now for
Yep.
their latest. But yeah,
that, like, helpless feeling, like it's gonna get me no matter what I try to do, pretty much, and you're
Yep.
gonna have to keep trying a million times.
Yep.
Yep.
Exactly. You're dead. Speaking of realistic, typewriter to save your game.
Yeah.
And you, just kidding.
That's real.
I know. Isn't that great? All right. So this is our next topic. Why Resident Evil 4 is not my favorite Resident Evil game, but why it's one of the best games ever made. Kind of want to sit in this fine line that there's a lot of arguments about best Resident Evil game. And
Sorry, I kind of jumped topics there. I went into that a little bit.
yeah, that's all good. So the thing about Resident Evil 4, it influenced the whole evolution of the over-the-shoulder top camera.
Yeah.
Which
right.
think about all the games that use it today. I could even list. I mean, we could go on forever, but Dead Space. You can even say Uncharted,
Yeah.
Gears of War.
I mean,
but
almost any over-the-shoulder third-person shooter from that point on. I mean, it really kind of started that to the side,
yeah,
like, look.
yep. Because
It
that's the thing.
changed a lot of things.
So whenever that came out, the reason why it was a big deal, you have to realize, because when we played the original Resident Evils, it was like up, down is up, and it was you know really bad controls by today's standards.
Yeah.
Think about when Resident Evil 4 came out. The aiming was precise. The way your guy moved, everything looked amazing. That's why it was such a big deal, and it made everything amazing today. So to my point is, while it's not my favorite Resident Evil because I love the story of 1 and 2 more. And I'm going to get your takes on this too, guys, but with Resident Evil 1 and 2, I should say, specifically, I could go into 3 as well, but I love the idea that you came into this experience with one gun, and you're, like, trying to find weapons, and you're on the run, and I loved that, where on 4, when it was, like, this merchant, they're like, oh, you're just this random merchant that I'm going to buy from. Well, some people may like that. To me, it took away,
I agree.
but here's the thing. Then 4, they added in the remake of 2 that whole over-the-shoulder aspect, and look how much better that made 2.
Yeah.
So this is my point of why I think 4 is one of the best games ever made, but not my favorite. Just your take.
I agree with that.
Yeah.
I just think it was a little departure bit on the story of Resident Evil, just slightly, and the atmosphere. And so...
Kind of crazy villagers.
Yeah. Which we've seen work for Resident Evil as well.
Yep.
Like, 8 I thought was great and has a lot of similarities to 4.
Yep.
I was never a big fan of the merchant because again, like you said, it kind of just doesn't make sense. It's like, you're in this crazy place and everyone's psychotic and trying to kill you, but this merchant's okay.
We have a YouTube short that might be coming out.
We're gonna let him sit here and
origin
no one's
story.
gonna touch him.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I felt that same way about Metal Gear Solid 4 when they brought in I think it's Drebin,
Yeah, I know
the
what you're
merchant.
saying.
It was like why? How come he can just drive around and do whatever he wants? Like it.
Yeah, now they're bringing in some guy named Perry with a knife.
Yeah.
I know.
Guys, come on now.
Hey, why do you have knives?
But no, for what it did for third person shooters, I think
changed the whole
It
game.
really did.
Yeah.
And I think that's why a lot of people put it as their favorite Resident Evil game. And like you said, well, you don't, I don't know how Victor feels about it.
Let me just say this thing: are we calling it the wrong thing then? Right? Are we calling it like? Is it a like injustice to call it a great game, or just say great things came from that game? You know what I mean? Because it's like the reality is anybody that's played the majority. I wouldn't say anybody, but I just feel like what makes a great game is a great story and great experience and all these things. And it's like we're taking the wonderful aspects from it, and it so that's great in itself that it altered that style leading forward. But like, does that make it a great game?
That's what's hard. Here, I'll say this. What so many of us, and it's something we all should work on daily, is we're all very biased and prideful people, and we hate change.
Yep.
And it's something that's so hard for people to work on. And it's like, I will make that argument that some people, it was a departure to where it's like, oh, this isn't Resident Evil. But I think if you just take Resident Evil 4
But there's also people that it was their first one.
No, that's
So
fair.
they're like...
No, exactly. And they're I guarantee you people that's one of their favorites.
Yep.
But this is my point though. If we as the original players take a look of it from the outside and just play it as a game and not think of the other ones.
Yeah.
It's an amazing game. That's what's hard.
Okay, touche.
Yeah.
And we're not saying it has like a bad story or anything. It just it was just a little bit of a departure from
For sure.
from the first ones.
Right.
That's the thing. Amazing gameplay, but 1 and 2, especially 2 now. The 2 remake is my favorite one now because of how well
mine
it was
too.
done.
I agree.
Even though I like the 1 story better, but they're amazing. But anyways, so now we're gonna dive into this. Where, do you think Resident Evil 4 is overrated or deserving of the praise? This is a hard one.
I mean, it's kind of it's very much piggybacking on the topic we just had.
And feel free to put your opinions in the comments.
Let me lead off.
Share your opinions on the comments because they're probably going to be different than ours. And and again, I think it comes down to nostalgia a little bit. There are a lot of people who played Resident Evil 4 first because it was such an accessible game and how it was played and how easy the controls were. And I just think a lot of people have a nostalgia attached to it.
That's what's hard about 1 and 2, though.
I mean,
think about someone going back to play 1. This game is terrible.
Listen, let me get this in because this is important.
Yeah.
All greatness, in some form or fashion, is tied to nostalgia. Mm-hmm. And I want to throw that out first because, like, Goonies is a great example.
Bring up that exact same
for
thing.
me, because if I suggest that movie to somebody that did not watch it when they were a child, it's terrible. They're like, no, that movie. I mean, I have a friend Caleb who's like, that movie is horrendous.
I know. I just showed my wife that movie a couple months ago, and she was like, "This was stupid."
So I will say, that aspect is a huge aspect of it, but it's not the end all be all because I do think you can still be great without having nostalgia. But again, I'm gonna compare it to 1 and 2 because that was my first love, right? So it affects me in that way.
It's hard to debate that because I don't know now because I don't know if it's nostalgia or not anymore.
It is hard to know because like Adam and I have had this debate a lot. I know we're jumping to other games, but like Persona 4 versus Persona 5. We both played 4 first, and if you ask us, I would say 4 is 1 billion times better than 5.
1 billion.
I think 5 is a great game. I just think 4 is a way better story.
It's not 1 trillion.
You know what though? There's something to say about this because 5. I know we're gonna go. I'm just trying to make a point here about these games. 5's gameplay is a lot better.
I agree.
Than 4. This shows how heavily we care about story.
I agree.
Yeah.
I agree.
So it's like that's why some people probably have a very big emphasis on gameplay, which is why 4 really sticks out to them.
Resident Evil.
Yes.
I know, we're getting confusing here.
Exactly.
So
Good point.
Resident Evil 4, sticks out because the gameplay was so good. And you can't like deny that either.
Yes.
That has to be part of the conversation. So is it overrated? I would say no, but do I think nostalgia fuels a lot of the best Resident Evil list?
Very good.
Yes.
Very good point.
I'm going to say this to you. I want to propose a question to the viewers, and they throw it in the comments. Are you a more story-driven player, gameplay-driven player, or a mixture of both? What would you say? Throw that in because I agree. Yeah. I'm more in it for the story.
I am too.
But yeah, I do think it varies from people to people. I would say it's not overrated. only because for the examples you gave.
Yeah.
Everything it
What
affected
changed.
in gaming. So
Yep.
for that alone, I would say no.
Yep. So that's I mean, think about what Capcom did with that, because there's the annoyances of Ashley going, Leon, which, by the way, thank goodness has been toned down in the remake.
I feel like
And then,
you think they'll make fun of it though a little bit just to have it in there.
It's a little different, but yeah. So
Is that no from all of us?
That it's
I
not
don't,
overrated.
I don't think it's
Yeah.
overrated. Cool. Yeah, when you step back, like I said, I select 1 and 2, especially if you remade them.
I don't think it's overrated, but I don't agree with anyone who says it's the best Resident Evil.
Okay,
That's fair. But you can understand why they think that.
sure.
Nostalgia.
To an extent, nostalgia, yeah.
All right. Well, this brings up a question for me. Can remakes ruin an original game? Can
The thing
remakes
is-
ruin an OG game?
The thing with that is, and it's funny because we already knew this question was kind of coming up, and we still don't even know how to answer this because I don't think so. I'm gonna
say
this
no.
because
Yeah, I want to hear Ham's thoughts.
yeah.
What do you think?
Here's my thing. I think too many people will say this, and I really have to use this as an example. I think too many people often think, "Why did you do this?" And at the same time, I'm like, well, that original game is still the original game. And I can understand, and I have to say this as an example. Granted, Final Fantasy VII Remake, I was really concerned, and maybe I should still be, because the game's not done yet. Maybe it's going to end terrible, and I'm going to really hate it. So I should say it. Maybe come back to me on this question. but now when I play the remake, I'm like, I'm loving this. I'm loving the idea that I don't know what's going to happen, and it's almost like, and now the original is its own thing, and so is this, to where it's almost a sequel.
I know, it's becoming not a remake anymore,
Yes.
it seems like.
And I understand that some people are annoyed by that. They're just like, I just want it remade. Well, you know what? As someone that has been thinking about Eric's death for 20 years...
Whoa, spoilers!
I would hope they played it by now.
Just the chance of thinking, maybe I could save her. It's weird, because then they could either rip my heart out all over again, or maybe...
I think
I'm gonna be
everybody's-
honest, I think that's what they're
I know,
doing.
but we'll get, that's another topic. But my point is, it's hard to say, but right now I'm like, I kind of like this, but I might hate it. I don't know. But my point is, like, if they remade something, I don't know. Like,
Jordan?
the original's still there.
So your point is you have no idea.
even to
Apparently
that,
not.
even to that extent, I think a remake doesn't ruin the original game, because the original game is still there. If you're someone who thinks the remake ruins it, I don't understand that, because you can always go back and play the original.
Let me give
You
you an
don't
example.
have to.
Sorry.
You don't have to play
I
the
thought
remake.
about this part at least. I've never played a bad remake, technically. But what if a developer made, let's say, Metal Gear Solid into a remake, and then the remake was such a departure from the original? I think you'd be upset.
I would be upset.
That's my point.
Maybe we're asking the wrong question.
Yes, but the question was, does it ruin the original? And I still
That's
say
fair.
no, because if a Metal Gear Solid remake was a departure from the original and almost not the same game anymore, I would just be like, well, I'm going to play the original then.
Okay, fair.
I would be upset about it, because that's a game that I want.
Yeah,
a lot.
That's fair.
Yeah. I think maybe we're asking the wrong question then in the verbiage, right? Because I guess it to your point, nothing ruins the original if the original is still available.
Yeah.
But I'll say this: remakes can ruin stuff. That's for sure. Because in my opinion, like, if you're gonna remake something that's near and dear to my heart, like, and this is what's funny about remakes. Everyone has different reasons why they love something, and so it's like such. It's like walking on eggshells in a bit, because it's like, you better include this, you better include this, you better have this, you know what I mean? And it's like, but I think people's reasons for wanting remakes too vary. Like for me, I think of old games that I'd love to see current graphics.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And so I'd love that. Like, keep the story but make it fresh.
Yes,
and
I
so,
agree.
But yeah, there's different reasons.
Yeah.
And to your point, I have an example. It made me think a little bit of like cover songs, for instance. I love a great cover song as long as the melody stays the same. If you change the melody, that is not the original song anymore.
Okay.
In my opinion, the melody should stay the same. You can change the instruments all you want. And I think for a game, like you're saying, the story should stay the same. You can change the graphics. You may be able to even change gameplay a little bit, but the story needs to stay intact if it's truly a remake of an original game.
Yeah.
And I'll end with this. I think you can even enhance the original in some ways to
Yeah.
make it even better. Like it make even more depth to the story and whatever.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, I get it because I keep saying that Final Fantasy VII, for instance, is a hot topic where it's like, well, I kind of like it if it ends well.
Yeah.
So I guess we'll see. But ends with this question here. If you could pick one game, I almost had to say 3 just because I couldn't pick one. One game to remake, what would you pick?
One game.
One. That's a.
I pulled full footage even thinking I know exactly what you're gonna say.
Yeah,
but-
you know what you know what I'm gonna say. There's 2 that I want more than any others. I think.
More than anything in the world, Ron. what is it, Jordan?
Man, that's hard. I can only pick one.
Yep. You're supposed to think about
Nope.
this.
Okay. Sorry. I know this is like the one topic you gave us beforehand.
I'm gonna go first. I'm gonna go
Okay.
first because I know it's gonna be very different than your guys' answers.
I know what I'm gonna pick because I know what yours is going to be, and I think.
Okay.
Change it on you.
Ready?
What?
Okay, my initial thought process, I just want to take you through this real fast. My first thing was something like Zelda Link to the Past with current updated stuff would be really cool. Tomb Raider, like the original.
No, we're doing one.
No, I'm saying this is what I was going to.
Okay.
The original Tomb Raider, my mind went to these games, stuff like this. But then I thought, I'm going to try to think
You're
outside
gonna
the
go
box.
real old school.
I'm going to try to think outside the box because I had a feeling I knew what direction you guys would go. I'm going to go something a little quirky. Mike Tyson's Punch-Out.
I don't know why I knew you were gonna say that.
All right, let me say why, and let me give you why this game was so unprecedented. First of all, because Mike Tyson was in it, and at the time he was like at the heap of the mountain,
Like
and it was like
he looked invincible.
he was invincible, unstoppable. So could you imagine if a game with that gameplay feel came out and you could battle Floyd Mayweather, Muhammad Ali, or even Rocky from the movies? Right? It had guys like that in there, and like you could upgrade update the graphics, but still have that old school gameplay where you're
So do you want to feel like retro,
you
but just more current?
Yeah. I think that could be really cool. But have people we know now that would bring some interest to it.
Yeah, that could be fun.
Get real specific here. How realistic do you want it to look?
Oh, I don't not
Because
necessarily
they kind of have
realistic.
that new. I showed you the new fighter. That's kind of a new Punch Out. You know what I'm talking about? Where you fight Randy Savage and stuff.
Right.
You want it even different than
It needs to feel a little retro, but I still think it should be updated. I think more the play needs to feel the same, just the left, right, and punch and stuff. But I think that could be fun.
And don't mess up the music.
All right.
Okay. I'm gonna say Metal Gear Solid 1.
Yeah.
Metal Gear Solid. There was Metal Gear 1 and all that
Yeah,
stuff.
Yeah.
But anyway,
And elaborate too what you'd like it to be in your mind.
I would like it to be exactly the same game. I want it to be word for word the same. I want the music to be the same. I just want the graphics to be better.
Okay.
I could see where they'd change some stuff, like because Metal Gear kind of had a lot of top-down.
Yes, it did. Yep.
And that's okay if they wanted to switch that a little bit, but in a way, that's kind of also what made 1 so fun for me. Was like it really allowed a lot of that
to see
sneaking.
the footprints in the snow. Yeah,
where
I know.
they changed that a lot from like 3 on, and I wasn't as big of a fan. Like I mean, I still played the games, but like they just seemed different to me. Like I really liked.
So keep the over the top view too.
Maybe
Keep
not.
it over the top.
Maybe not completely. I could see where they could change it, but like
Tell
maybe
Konami.
just
Tell Konami.
maybe
Listen,
just
guys, are you
maybe just
listening,
shift it up a little, or for
Kojima.
the thing about Metal Gear Solid 1 was it wasn't
about
a strictly over the top view.
Yeah, I know,
always.
switched up. Yeah.
It switched depending on where you were, or what like floor you were on, or what area you were in. So they could do something like that. I don't know exactly how I want it to be. Basically,
You just want modern graphics.
I just want modern graphics.
Yeah,
I
okay.
want it to look
All right.
Yeah.
as good as the best looking game.
Which is how I would feel if they remade Final Fantasy VI. Don't change a thing. Just give me
Yeah.
updated graphics. But yeah.
Yeah, mine is actually not that hard of a choice. It's Chrono Trigger.
Yeah, that's why I didn't pick that.
Yeah,
that was my
because
choice. I knew you were going to.
and I know the game is great in itself. That's not the point. If they did something like that, I don't know what graphics I want. I think I'm gonna stick with Dragon Quest style graphics. I just think it'd suit that game really well. Same art developer basically doing both. I just think that'd be really cool. It's one of the best stories in my opinion. But yeah, just kind of the Dragon Quest style. I would love to see that.
Yeah, that was the other game. Those were the two I was debating: Metal Gear Solid and
I gotta
Chrono
end with this
Trigger.
though too, guys. Think about how hard it is to make a retro song modern. I've heard it screwed up so much. Like, I couldn't believe that. I don't want to get too off topic here, but when I heard Double Dragon on the arcade for the first time, I thought it sounded worse than the NES just because I'm so used to that sound. My point is, I have to give credit to Square Enix for Final Fantasy VII Remake, that they not only did the music, it's like pure justice to where they even made it better in some areas.
I'll say
that's got to be hard.
When it comes to music,
So don't screw up Chrono Trigger Remake music.
I think remakes for music, which you hit on this with covers. For me, I think it should be such a dramatic separation from the original, because to me it's not, don't even do a cover if you're just gonna make it just like the song.
Yeah.
Like, to me, like, if it's a fast song, slow it down with strings and piano, and vice versa. Like, I like it when it's
the main melody line.
I'm saying for the
like
gaming,
the
right?
hook.
Like, make it dramatic. If you go back to Final Fantasy VI, like, go so far out there that it's like, oh my gosh, that's this song, but it's crazy, right? Like,
That's what's
that'd
hard,
be
because
cool.
we all want it original, but like just the little touches of when you see Aerith for the first time, it does the slow.
Yeah.
That's not even they just added it like a slower version.
I know.
Amazing.
That's what I'm saying. You need to keep that what that piano line was, even if it's not played on piano.
Yeah.
Those notes need to be the same, but you can change
melody.
everything
Don't touch
else
the melody.
around it.
Yeah.
I'm fine with changing everything else around
I agree.
it.
I have to admit, what they accomplished with the music on that game was incredible, and I'm only throwing it out there for remakes in general. That's a hard thing to be careful with touching, and they did a great job with it. But anyways,
Yeah. Remakes, they're coming out.
they're doing it.
You know,
It's-
guys,
there has been a lot of remakes
keep
lately, and I'm somewhat okay with it, because there are a lot of games that I loved that are getting remade, and it's just fun to play them again. Well, they look better.
Yeah, 100% agree.
Speaking of remakes, guys, do you want to see a remake of Skate or Die? Skate or Die, first person
I'll
shooter
never.
on a skateboard, shooting
So many
zombies,
people don't even know what that game is.
completing in the joust, just competing in the joust,
Yeah.
and completing the joust. No, I'm just kidding.